Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Today is the Tirubhav Tithi, disappearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. He is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, founder of ISKCON. Today also the final part of our present reading from Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. So now we are reading from volume 1, continuing, part 2, volume 1, part 2, chapter 1. The qualities and character of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. As we said in the first session, that we want to know who is this personality who inspired someone like Srila Prabhupada to open 108 temples at the age of 69, leaving India for a country he didn't know where he's going, where he'll stay, what he'll do. No institutional backing, no money. He just went with a bag full of Srimad Bhagavatam books. So such a personality we want to know. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave the order to Srila Prabhupada to go to the West, preach in English, and ISKCON is the manifestation of his desire and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's desire, the guru of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. It was his also. So today we are reading on qualities and character of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as well as his one hallmark of his preaching, Yukta Vairagya. So, the character of Vaishnavas is profound and unfathomable. Actually, we want to study a Vaishnava, it's very hard. Vaishnav Kriya Mudra Vigya Na Bhujai. It said that activities and thoughts of Vaishnava we cannot understand. They are on a different platform. They are acting, what is their thinking, we cannot understand. We are on a different level. Like the ant cannot understand what I am thinking or doing. He doesn't have that brain. We don't have that understanding. Yet each Vaishnava personality manifests divine traits in different degrees and in various ways. For instance, Sri Ramananda Rai fully conquered lust, if we know from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pastime, we'll understand. Sri Damodar Pandit was famed for his objective criticism. Sri Haridas Thakur personified forbearance, and Sri Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were exceptionally meek and humble. Srila Saraswati Thakur was focused, tenacious, and staunch. Staunch means if he said he'll do it, he'll do it. He'll do something. Come what may, whatever obstacle comes. Like his guru, Srila Gaurakishore Das Babaji, he was steadfast in renunciation and bhajan. Despite being raised in a middle-class comfort, his innate tendency was toward austerity. As an ideal acharya, he never compromised his practice of devotional principles. He carefully observed the details of sadhana bhakti, such as always wearing tilak, regularly chanting the Mahamantra on beads, and reciting Gayatri and attending aratis. He rose early each morning, usually before anyone else, and rarely napped during the day. Being a Nitya Siddha, there was no need for Srila Saraswati Thakur to follow such ordinances meant for the uplift of neophytes. Yet, he did so to set an example for and induce faith within his disciples and the public at large. He averred that if he were not exemplary, no one would obey him. You know, leader Prabhupada said, Achar, then prachar. Achar means we'll do everything nice yourself, then we'll preach others, you should do this. Whenever he asked whatever he asked of others, he himself followed. Had he relaxed his standard even slightly, Prakriti Sahajiyas would have taken that as an excuse to continue whimsically neglecting the scriptural prescribed regulations of devotional service. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur often quoted from Mundak Upanishad 1-12 the terms of Shrotriya, learned in Shastra as received in Guru Parampara, and Brahmanishtha, fully dedicated to Godhead, which is that shloka. Tasma Gurum Prabhatiti Jigyasu Shvaya Uttamam Shrotyam Jigyasu Shvaya Uttamam Samatpani Shrotyam Brahmanishtam Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shvaya Uttamam Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. This is the verse, it's not written here. So there it says Shrotriya, that shloka. This is in connection with the Guru. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So Shrotriya, learned in Shastra. Guru should be learned in Shastra. And Shrotriya actually specifically means he heard in Guru Parampara. Shrotra, hearing. He heard from the Guru Parampara. Shrotriya Brahmanishtha. Brahmanishtha means fixed in Brahm, fixed in dedication to Godhead. That means his mind, his activities, his thoughts, his desires, everything is in God and Shastra. Emphasizing that these qualifications are necessary for a genuine Guru, and that one who has them will naturally also be irreproachable in character. So one who has these qualities, naturally he'll have a high character. By personally fulfilling these criteria, he established the scriptural standard for accepting the role of a Guru. So now, actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur laid the foundation for Gaudiya Sampradaya, in the sense that our Srila Prabhupada, he established ISKCON, but taking of sannyas, wearing of this red cloth, establishing a temple with a mutt, with brahmacharis, morning class, bhajan, evening Gaur Arati, all this was said by Bhaktisiddhanta in Gaudiya Mutt. And then going and preaching, establishes centers around India. He established 64 mutts. And whenever a preaching party went, there was a kirtaniya, a cook, a good mridanga player, preacher, and some assistants. It was all organized. So, actually ISKCON came from that, Gaudiya Mutt. So, he set the standard now for the whole Sampradaya. He actually arranged it. Now after this, it will go on like this, as he said, as he arranged it. Moreover, his inestimable qualities distinguished him as a transcendental giant, fit to be addressed as Jagat Guru. As Srila Sanatana Goswami had told Haridas, Apane achar keha na kore prachar, prachar kare na keha na kare na achar. Achar prachar namera karaha dui karya, tumi sarva guru, tumi jaga tera arya. Some devotees, Sanatana Goswami told Haridas Thakur, some devotees follow the practice of bhakti but do not preach, whereas others preach but do not practice properly. By your behavior and preaching, you simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name. So he practiced nicely and preached. You are the Guru of the whole world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Sanatana Goswami told Haridas Thakur. Srila Saraswati Thakur was intense, and he intensely desired everyone he came in contact with, and indeed the entire universe, embrace his mood of unremitting dedication to Krishna. His personality was permeated with utter rejection of anything smacking of worldliness. And because his nigh insistence that others similarly abandon all attachments and fully surrender to Krishna resembled the attack of an aggressor, he was often misunderstood by those he sought to help. Intense means he's focused on one aim and he'll push that aim. So now his compassion made him stop at everyone and tell them, you must surrender, give up these habits. And people took offensively. Why are you speaking to me like that? Why? I have my belief, But they didn't understand his compassion. This is the way you're going to come back to God, to Krishna. Otherwise, there's no other way. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was his very presence inspired awe. His glance was so powerful and penetrating that few could bear it. His every movement and gesture expressed extraordinary inner strength. Many smug persons became humble and submissive simply by entering into his presence, as did Maharaj Adiraj Vijaya Chanda Bahadur of Burdwan. He related the following incident. So this incident happened. I often went to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and naturally bowed at his lotus feet whenever I did. Yet at one point I considered I am the great Maharaj of Burdwan. Among all the highly respected people in Bengali society, none is more famous or respected than I. Who is this sadhu in comparison to me? Why should I prostrate before him? Next time I won't, and I'll watch how he reacts. So on my next visit, I barged in on him and blurted, I have something to say to you. But before I could speak further, my head automatically went down to the floor in front of him. I was unable to wait and see his response to my rudeness. The canon governing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's life was Krishnarthe Akhila Cheshta. Everything should be done for Krishna. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Always busy satisfying Krishna in innumerable ways, he unwaveringly personified that maxim. Day and night, wherever he happened to be, Srila Saraswati Thakur was constantly absorbed in topics of Krishna. After his heart condition manifested, when people would ask, how are you? He often replied, I'm all right, but Kunja Prabhu does not indulge me in Harikatha, hence I am unwell. He had no interest even in bathing in the ocean at Puri or in holy rivers, for he considered such activities a diversion from his life's engagement of immersion in bhajan, preaching and writing. Although he manifested different moods at different times, he was always thinking of Krishna and was never frivolous, mundane or mediocre. In other words, he was never joking, laughing casually. Occasionally he became pensive and withdrawn. Sometimes he spoke so ferociously that others became unnerved and tremulous. When delivering Harikatha to his students, he was formal and grave. When in a mountainous area such as Shillong, Mussoorie, Darjeeling or Uttar Chamund, his thoughts inevitably turned to Govardhan, and with great enthusiasm he would continuously douse his devout companions with Harikatha pertaining to the most sacred of hills, Govardhan. This pure, natural, spontaneous, intense and uninterrupted attachment for Sri Sri Radha Krishna was Srila Saraswati Thakur's inherent and focal lineament, which combined with his ability and fervent desire to give Krishna to others, revealed him to be an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, come to this plane to execute his mission, as he expressed. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he used to say, there's a quote here, if a poor man takes the guise of a philanthropist, he can give away only as much as he personally possesses. But the eternal treasure of the Vaishnav is directly Narayan. If Narayan gives himself, he holds a little back. But the Vaishnava can give Narayan completely. He who possesses genuine knowledge of the whole entity, Krishna, is totally devoted to serving Krishna in all ways. Therefore, there is nothing comparable to the lotus feet of such a person. Elsewhere it's written here, I remember reading, he said that the mercy of the Guru is more than the mercy of Vishnu. The Vaishnava is more. And the abode of the Guru, where the Guru is staying, is greater than the dham of Vishnu. Because, as he wrote here, Vishnu will give his mercy but little. The Vaishnava, he has Vishnu, he will give Vishnu completely. If we take shelter of him, he will give him fully. He can give. Dynamic, resolute and compelling, Srila Saraswati Thakur was determined to give Krishna to a world unenthusiastic to receive him. He optimistically embarked on projects that in ordinary estimation seemed unachievable and persevered until realizing them. For him the word impossible did not exist, and upon receiving an order from him, no disciple considered pleading impossible. Indeed, his disciples regarded Srila Saraswati Thakur as empowered with transcendental potency for overcoming the multitude hurdles that unceasingly arose, as had been indicated by a narrow escape just prevenient to his widespread preaching career. Prior to renting the house, number 1 Ulta Dingi Junction Road, you remember we went there. Early one morning, Srila Saraswati Thakur set out with Kunja Bihari Prabhu and Ananta Vasudev Prabhu to inspect it. Walking along the footpath, he was just about to step under a shop awning when it suddenly crashed down in front of him, and its prop having been slightly impacted by a car. Had it collapsed even a second later, it would have landed on his head. Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu later commented on this incident. Who knows whether this dramatic performance of being mysteriously saved from an unthinkable event and imminent danger on the day of starting an auspicious undertaking for founding Sri Bhaktivinodasan was a harbinger of the future history of the Gaudiya Math. It means it was foretelling some events that will happen in the future. The very day on which the initial preparation for establishing a center for propagating actual truth around the universe were made, our Gurudev made us understand the Shasya proclamations, Shreyamsi Bahu Vijnani. Many times Bhaktisiddhanta, he'll say one word or one sentence, and he'll assume you know the shloka, what it is. Therefore, the author of this book said, before reading, you have to read Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, then you read, otherwise you won't understand. Many obstacles arise in auspicious activities. This is the point. Shreyamsi Bahu Vijnani. Many obstacles arise when you want to do some auspicious activity. And Sri Bhakti Marg Iha Kantaka Koti Ruddaha. In this world, the path of devotion is beset with millions of thorns. To propagate the truth, one must be ready to take the burden of numerous perils. If not, to place one's very life at stake. Sometime our life will be at stake. You want to propagate the absolute truth. People don't want it. As the morning speaks for the days, so did our Guru Maharaj predict the future of Gaudiya Math preaching by staging this pastime to indicate that we should be ready. So here one of his main disciples, Ananta Vasudeva, he's saying that as the morning speaks for the day, that means what happens in the morning will determine the day. So if you chant good rounds in the morning or read, then the whole day is good. So here I said, so our Guru Maharaj predicted the future of Gaudiya Math by staging this pastime, that he himself planned this by his transcendental potency to show us that we are going to embark on this preaching in Gaudiya Math, establish this Math, and there are going to be challenges. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's legendarily powerful personality defied modish accusations that Bhakti was for timorous weaklings and effeminates. Sometimes people, especially from Shankara Math, but others, they said Bhakti is for weak people, sentimental, like that. But if you see him, you will understand it. He was not like that. Yet, despite his hard exterior, he was so extraordinarily humble that he often described himself as a fallen soul and would request blessing from his disciples or even from common people. He would join his palms and say, Das Osmi, I am your servant, to whomever approached him, even before they would offer him respect. No one was allowed to touch his feet, not even young boys. Generally, young boys would come and touch feet of a senior. He did not do that. Whenever anyone tried to do so, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would stretch out his long arms to restrain him, saying, Das Osmi. He prohibited even his initiated disciples from touching his feet. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati enigmatically remembered the names of all his disciples and others he had met. Often when returning to a place, even after a long time, he would ask by name for certain individual he had previously met there. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was punctilious in receiving visitors. Whenever he received a letter stating that a person was scheduled to arrive on a certain date and time, he would arrange that one or two brahmacharis meet the guest at that station. Even if the visitor knew the way or had not asked for help, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would send someone. Once a guest arrived at the Math late at night and requested Mahaprasad, but was told there was none. Chanting japa on the veranda close by, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati heard that and ordered, see that he gets Mahaprasad. He has come late at night hungry, prepare something for him, at least flat rice. Nor was Srila Saraswati Thakur's concern for others limited to those in human form. In Sajan Toshani, he featured articles denouncing the cruelty and lauding efforts to curb hunting and cow slaughter. And when in April 1919 he was traveling by horse cart in a rural area of Midnapur district, the driver repeatedly beat the horses all along the 8 to 10 mile route. Srila Saraswati strongly objected and adjured the local inhabitants to prevent such mistreatment from happening ever again. Such compassion was intrinsic to this great personage, who had dedicated his existence for relieving all living beings of suffering. Thus, the character of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati can be properly understood only in terms of his overwhelming desire to propagate Shuddha Bhakti. In words we describe, but what can we say? Anyway, some idea we can get. How many minutes is? Now we're going to hear another aspect of the preaching of Bhaktisiddhanta. That is Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya is a term Rupa Goswami made a verse. He coined a verse. Anasaktasya vishan yatharam upayunjate nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So that means that when we have something and we give it up and renounce it, that is not proper. But if we take it and use it for Krishna, this is the proper use. Prabhupada explained, if I walk on the road and I see some money, and I know whose money it is, I'll say, it's not my money, I'll not touch it, it's not my money. Oh no, I'll say it another way. Someone enters a bank and he says in the bank to everybody, I am giving up all this money to you, everybody. I am giving it. You think he's a mad person. It's not your money. So when we say, I am renouncing this, I am renouncing that, it's not yours. Everything belongs to Krishna. So use it for Krishna. Everything should be used for Krishna. This is proper renunciation. It's called Yukta Vairagya. Anasaktasya Vishaya, not being attached to something, Yatharo Vayunjata, but Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha, not understanding its relation to Krishna, is improper. But Yuktam Vairagyam is the proper renunciation. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he demonstrated this principle very expertly. In his writings, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is his guru, his father, but he never saw like that, he saw my guru, he repeatedly stressed the importance of understanding and implementing Yukta Vairagya in progressive Hari Bhakti. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati demonstrated this principle in an unprecedented manner, particularly in showing how the topmost level of spiritual consciousness is developed not by associating oneself from the world, not by disassociating oneself from the world, but by using everything to preach Shuddha Bhakti. Traditionally, renounced Vaishnavas had avoided thickly populated places, preferring to remain in secluded holy spots, especially in Vrindavan and Navadvip, following the austere example of the 6 Goswamis. We are followers of the 6 Goswamis. If you look at our parampara, before Bhaktisiddhanta, everyone, they took Babaji Vesh, which means instead of taking sannyas, they used to wear white and go and live alone and just chant and read alone. They'll renounce like that. And then following the austere example of 6 Goswamis, they would sleep under different tree every night, not have any house, like that. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's aim was to preach worldwide, for which Yukta Vairagya was the key. Thus, while uncompromising in his principles, he was versatile in practice. He reasoned, everything is the Supreme Lord's energy, then why should anything be rejected? If God is good, then his energy is also good. Will not the Master of unlimited universe accord some of his estate for the use of the servant? Someone has big land, wealth, he will give some of it to servant. You stay in that part of the land, you use these crops. So God can do that. You use this for serving him. His genuine servants are they who understand that temporal items should not be used for their enjoyment but serving the boss. So he was very much at that time. Sannyasis won't wear shoes. They'll not go in cars, and we'll read about what he did that shocked everyone. So, considering that for the worldly minded to be benefited, they would first have to respect him and his representatives. Srila Sarasvati Thakur donned elegant livery. That means he wore nice this jacket, scarf, and rode in motor vehicles. Now it's okay, but that time no one did that. No sannyasi brahmachari can enter a vehicle. They'll walk, carry their danda, and not wear shoes. Even now, many have that name. But he used motor cars, lived in well-appointed apartments with ornate Western-style furniture, like this. He is living like that, and invited socialites to hear Harikatha. He invited socialites, like now would be some film star, politician, he called them. In gorgeously built temples, he met with kings, invited governors and other high-ranking officials of the British Raj over Gaudiya Math functions. He invited British people. And now sannyasis will not meet these people because there's a rule: sannyasis should not associate with worldly people. He broke all these rules. Not broke, he gave the different approach to it. He simply to gain the confidence of materialistic people and to get them to give a hearing and acknowledge his message. So no one will come. If supposing you call all these people, come under my tree, I'll speak with you in the mountain there. No, not come. You have to have such a nice place, but that's not for the people. That is because others won't come on that. They'll think, I'm on this level, I'll not enter there. I have to be on a place on my level, So here, he explained Bhaktisiddhanta. Many make a drama of chanting 3 lakh names, yet merely a show of chanting without disturbing others will not benefit anyone except maybe himself. Did I read too fast? Are you understanding? Many make, maybe others. Many make a drama, will chant many rounds in a corner. He said it will not benefit other people. Maybe it will benefit him only. Therefore, we are preaching by approaching the people of the world and dressed even somewhat better than they. So we have to look nice also. Otherwise, before, the 6 Goswamis were only kopen, langoti, and then maybe one cloth like that. But we have to dress and look nice for them, Otherwise, showing knowledge even somewhat greater than theirs, even in worldly knowledge, we know politics, then people understand, okay, I listen from him. Being even somewhat more stylish than they, without which they would think as worthless and not listen to our Harikatha. I have to go to various places for propagating Harikatha, so I must present myself as a learned and decent gentleman. Otherwise, non-devotees will not give me their time. Bhakti is not a blind process. To whatever frontiers of intelligence ordinary man can lift themselves, devotees must go further. Srila Saraswati Thakur trusted that even if initially admiration of worldlings was gained for the wrong reason, if they heard from and observed how devotees lived in opulence, but without attachment to it for a sublime rather than sensual purpose, then gradually their esteem could develop into true spiritual appreciation. Okay, they'll see, oh, this temple is so beautiful, nice, clean place, big, opulent, let us go there. So they'll go and appreciate, but they'll go gradually, they'll understand the message and then become spiritualized. Although seeking respect was wholly against the principles of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Saraswati clarified that a devotee could accept honor not for personal aggrandizement, but for offering to Krishna and for creating reverence to him in individuals. And then he compared this Yukta Vairagya principle to the pragmatism of a serpent. A snake does not build its own residence, but lives in a suitable place constructed by other creatures, thus spares itself the labor of constructing a house. Similarly, materialistic persons have taken unlimited pains to produce electric lights, conveyances, mechanical fans, and will continue. Now we can add AC, other things. That time was many years ago. And will continue in the future with such endeavors, which are useful for Vaishnavas. being dedicated to the spiritual path. Vaishnavas do not think it necessary to strive for material comforts, and are always absorbed in accepting the spiritual essence of everything. They do not consider the inconvenience of ancient times to be conducive for spiritual life. Neither are they attached to living in opulent mansions. They are not attached to these things. Attainment of one's ultimate goal through activities of the sensate world, such as excessive remembrance and restoration of ancient things, is not specified for the real spiritualist. So there's a long section here. I'm just going to go to the last part, his last few days. There was also, in those days, hardly there were cars in India. In Vrindavan, all holy people will go who renounced everything. They'll go there, chant, wear minimum cloth. But Srila Saraswati Thakur entered Vrindavan in a car, Rolls Royce, those high-end cars, without that roof, very stylish, sitting, wearing gold watch, jacket, shoes, came out of the car, and everyone thought he is gone. This person is, he cannot speak anything spiritual. He's gone, he's become a materialist. Now even today that is something, today it's okay, but you can't imagine those days someone did that. Then they used to tell him, how are you follower of 6 Goswamis? And he used to say, I am the best follower. I am the best follower. Because I'm following what they said, that you have to use everything for Krishna. So you're losing that. Okay, we're looking at the last section now, winding up his pastimes. Okay, I don't know who will see this. Here's a picture. Can they see? Look, can you see? Up, down, left, right?
Yeah, fine. This is the car.
The car. And I'll tell you some more things which, they're written here. I read this book. It's not here. He used to organize Ganga cruise. That in the middle of the Kolkata, there's a Ganga, Hooghly. So he'll get a boat, big a cruise, and they'll be sitting on the deck. Then he'll call some British people and rich local Indian administration who will only go to these high places. So then they'll be sitting on chairs, and in the cruise in sunset, and he'll be speaking Harikatha. And we don't have tea coffee, but he used to give them tea coffee. And if I'm not mistaken, did he give meat? I heard like fish, something. So someone asked him, how can you do this? Can we do this? He said, I answered these questions many lifetimes ago. What I'll do to make someone Krishna conscious and preach, anything. But some of us won't do that because we are not so pure. We'll go on that side. You understand? Personally, he was powerful. He did it. He used to organize so many such things. So now we're going to read about how his departure. This is in chapter 6 of volume 1, part 1, page 111. Hints of departure. For several years prevenient to his passing away, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati often spake of its inevitability by referring to the residual portion of my life, or the last stage of my life, or by stating, I don't have much time left. He wrote in 1927, just as Maharaj Parikshit listened to Bhagavatam in his last days, I too desire the association of devotees in my final days. Wherever there is no Harikatha, it doesn't matter how many friends and relatives are there, or how comfortable the situation is. In my concluding sojourn, such places and associations strike me as extremely unnecessary and undesirable. Around 1930, at the annual festival of Ramananda Gaudiya Mutt in Kovur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told the devotees, taking Mahaprasad, The sun is about to set. You won't get delicious Mahaprasad like this in the future. Such a function will no longer be held. Actually, Gaudiya Math was very great. They had 64 mats. Government people will come. They had so much money. They had cars. Though you can't still imagine, those days no one had cars. Gaudiya Math had cars, sadhus, and they had a printing press. They used to travel all over India and preach. Everyone knew them. When he came to Madras state, now Tamil Nadu, the governor himself came to welcome him. So he was saying to them, this will not last, in future, it will not last now. In a lecture in 1932, Srila Saraswati Thakur noted that from the beginning of his endeavor, even before founding Gaudiya Math, he had been beset by immeasurable obstacles. In transcendental grief, he lamented that he was deprived of service to Sri Radha Vraja Mohan and Sri Gaudiya Math. Quoting Sri Advaita Acharya's elliptic instruction to Mahaprabhu to wind up his pastimes, he then stated that now the time had come to sing the song of the Avanti Brahmana. They are speaking here about, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, towards the end, Advaita Acharya, we have that picture outside in the balcony. You remember? That is Advaita Acharya worshipping Shalagram with Gangajal and Tulasi Manjari. Now Shastra says, if you worship Shalagram with Gangajal and Tulasi Manjari, it will fulfill any desire. Spiritual. So he was loudly calling, Krishna, please descend. Kali Yuga is started, people are in darkness. Please come. He will do that again, day after day, shouting. The whole area was echoing with his voice. And so Mahaprabhu descended because of him. That is different reasons why Mahaprabhu descended. So then, when Mahaprabhu did his pastimes, after some time, it's 24 plus 32, some 46 years of his presence. Yeah, 42 years. Then Advaita Acharya sent a note to Advaita Acharya, to Mahaprabhu. I can't recall exactly, but it's something like, there is enough rice in the market now, you don't have to supply something. And he read it, he understood, some could understand, others could not. He was telling Mahaprabhu that you have come, now you can go. Whatever you have come to do has been successful. So now Bhaktisiddhanta was quoting, he quoted that, and he said, now let us sing the song of the Avanti Brahman. That is again, that's why you have to read Bhagavatam to understand this book and Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, let's sing the song of the Avanti Brahman. This is the song. Nuna me bhavam stushta sarva deva mayohari yena nito dasham etam nirvidesh shatmana plava. Bhagavan Hari, who contains within himself all the demigods, must be satisfied with me. It is he who has brought me to this suffering condition and forced me to experience detachment, which is the boat to carry me over the ocean of material life. From 1935, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur regularly hinted at his imminent passing away. While lecturing in Dhaka, he declared, our span of life is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out while constantly speaking Harikatha. He himself displayed the paragon of such advice during the annual festival of Sri Gaudiya Math in 1935 by delivering a 16-day series of extraordinary lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam, analyzing in detail its conceptions, theology and teachings. Feeling increasingly disgusted with several of his disciples, Srila Sarasvati Thakur would comment on their proclivity for eating and sleeping and their having no inspiration for broadcasting the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He lamented that despite having so many disciples, most of them were Kanishta Adhikaris, fit for archan, but not for preaching. On seeing that the number of his neophyte disciples was swelling, he decided to depart. Here now, Srila Prabhupada made a quote on this. Prabhupada said, in the latter years of my Guru Maharaj's life, he was very disgusted. Actually, he left this world early. Otherwise, he would have continued to live for many years. He would have lived, but he got disgusted seeing that people are not on that level. So I'm going to skip. I'm just skipping because of time. Okay, now I've come to last days. So Srila Saraswati Thakur was ill, transcendentally, and lying on the bed for some time. Shortly thereafter, Srila Saraswati Thakur became afflicted by fever. Kunja Bihari Prabhu called in some of the most reputed doctors in the city to treat his Guru Maharaj, who informed each of them of the temporality of the body and the need to perform Hari Seva. He's preaching to the doctor when they came. And when a doctor wanted to give him an injection, Srila Saraswati Thakur protested, why are you disturbing me in this way? Simply chant Harinam, that's all. Upon receiving news of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's condition, disciples started streaming in from far and near. On 20th December, he rose and startled the bedridden Ananta Vasudev. His disciple Ananta Vasudev was also sick. So he got up and went to him, who he had not seen for several days, by visiting him in his room to see, are you okay? He was sick himself. About 10 days before his disappearance, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati stated that he had much service to perform in Vrindavan, but because of internal quarrels in the mutt, his life was being shortened by 10 years. On 23rd December 1936, 8 days before leaving the world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati instructed in a weak and halting voice the devotees assembled at his bedside. Those vital and immortal words were to become famous as his last address, expressing the essence of his perennial message, and would be featured in innumerable publications, spiritual and in normal newspapers everywhere. So those days there was no recording device, mobile phone, dictaphone. They used to write very fast. So they actually wrote everything. Again, you have to buy this book and read it because it's long. We cannot read everything now. We want to observe his festival. I'll read one extract, the last part. Let our bodies, which are like those of an aged ox, be offered into the Sankirtan Yajna of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. We do not aspire to be any kind of heroes of karma or dharma, but our constitutional position and all in all is to do in every birth is to become a dust at the Sri Rupa Raghunath's lotus feet. The Bhaktivinoda Dhara will never stop. That means the parampara from Bhaktivinoda Thakur will never stop. With all your energy, this is instruction to us also. With all your energy, devote yourself to fulfilling the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There are many among you who are well qualified and able workers. We have no other wish whatsoever. Our only motto is to take a blade of grass between the teeth and fall down and pray again to become the dust of Sri Rupa's lotus feet, birth after birth. Again, I'm skipping now, coming to the last section. Srila Saraswati Thakur gave many important instructions for continuing the movement, enjoining his disciples to form a governing body of 10 or 12 members and cooperatively conduct missionary activities under their guidance, and that Kunja Bihari should throughout his life remain as the manager. He ordered the construction of Natya Mandir be begun at Swananda Sukhada Kunj. He asked one disciple, among yourselves, who do you consider most knowledgeable of Siddhanta? The reply came, Vasudev Prabhu. Srila Saraswati Thakur affirmed this, stated that Ananta Vasudev should continue to preach Rupa Raghunath Vani. Okay, now finishing the last part here. Disappearance. The next morning, 1st January 1937, at just about 5:20 a.m., Pranavananda Brahmachari's bedside vigil was completed. He was handing over the fan and oxygen funnel to Krishnananda Brahmachari when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati aroused and whispered, "Who is there?" "It's me, Pranavananda, Prabhupada." Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati uttered, "Oh Pranavananda Prabhu." Pranavananda then asked, how are you feeling, Prabhupada? They call Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati murmured, "Oh, Krishna, Krishna." Hardly had Pranavananda left the room when he was called back by Krishnananda Prabhu. "Pranava, come quickly, it's over." Thus, after 62 years and 10 months of manifesting unflinching devotion to Sri Sri Radha Krishna in this world, Sri Varshabhanavi Daita Dasa rejoined them in the hour of their Nishant Leela, pre-dawn pastimes, of the eternal cycle of daily activities in Vraja at the hour. Everyone who understood about Krishna Leela, that at that time there's a certain Leela performed. We'll see it. So he left at that time at 5:20 a.m. Their nocturnal sports, when they rest in intertwined embrace, becoming as one body and hence giving an indication of Lord Gauranga's appearance, is little esoterical. Radha Krishna, that time they're embracing and they're together. So Lord Gauranga is Radha Krishna together. So at that time he left. It was 5:30. All the clocks in the mud stopped simultaneously, their steady ticking soon replaced by wailing and crying from every corner. Some devotees were sobbing as if their hearts would break. Some were chanting feverishly with eyes flooded with tears. Some swooned, some simply bowed their heads and chanted Harinam. Some were clapping their foreheads and repeatedly yelling, calling out, "Oh Prabhupada, oh Prabhupada." Although the sun had just risen, to the disciples present, everything seemed black. Kunja Bihari Prabhu, ever pragmatic, organized the bereaved devotees in performing the required rituals according to Samskar Deepika. First they laved their departed Gurudev's divine form with sandalwood water, then applied tilak on the 12 appropriate parts of his body, draped him in new cloth and decorated him with flower garlands and sandalwood paste. They laid him on a new bed and brought him for the last darshan of the deities he had served for so many years. After circumambulating him, his disciples, several of them crying incessantly, offered him puja, bhoga and arati, and continuous kirtan of the Mahamantra and Jai Anilo Premadhana bhajan. Narottam Das's most famous song of separation. The news spread quickly. When Srila Saraswati Thakur's divine figure was taken before the deities at 10 o'clock, a huge crowd was waiting for final darshan. Then the bedstead with his spiritual body strapped to it was carried from Bagh Bazar to Shialda station on the shoulders of disciples, accompanied by massive Sankirtan. The route was less than 2 miles, but since it was through busy streets and packed with the morning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, morning public, it took over an hour to traverse. From Shialda, almost 200 devotees left towards Mayapur by a chartered train. At Ranagarh, they halted briefly for local people to offer their last respects and proceeded to Krishnanagar, where again a sizable gathering, including leading city officials, were waiting to pay homage to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. From Krishnanagar, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's transcendental form was taken on the roof of a bus to Swarupganj, across the river from Mayapur. Crossing the river Saraswati by boat, the party continued on foot, performing Sankirtan. On reaching Mayapur towards evening, the spiritual figure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was taken around the holy sites, beginning with Yogpith, Srivasangan, Advaita Bhavan, then to Sri Chaitanya Mat, Bhakti Vijay Bhavan, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's house, and Samadhi of Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji. We'll see all of these, Krishna willing, when we go on Yatra. Arati was offered to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Kirtan continued throughout the night as devotees excavated the site. They were digging the place where they'll put the form they had chosen for Samadhi, between Chaitanya Mat and Bhakti Vijay Bhavan. Bhakti Vijay Bhavan is where he stayed personally, his house. Early the next morning, Srila Saraswati Thakur's transcendental body was bathed with Ganga water. After this, Srimad Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj applied sandalwood paste and the Samadhi mantra on his Gurudev's body, which was then dressed in new cloth, brought to the site of Samadhi. and amid prostration, prayer, glorification, and offering of flowers, it was placed on a marble throne covered with fine cloth. Kirtan continued to resound while sandalwood paste, scented oil, flower, garlands were offered at his lotus feet. After another arati and the accompaniment of his favorite songs such as Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, Swananda Sukhada Kunj Manohar, and Yashomati Nandan, Srila Saraswati Thakur's divine form was interned in Samadhi. News of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's departure was broadcast on All India Radio. An official day of mourning was observed in Bengal. In Calcutta and other places, many eminent people gathered to eulogize Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati at memorial functions. The Corporation of Calcutta held a special meeting on 13 Jan 1937 in tribute to the memory of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and issued a resolution expressing its members' deep sorrow. The mayor, Sri Hari Shankar Pal, addressed the councillors. He gave a speech. Finally, the words of Srila Prabhupada, our ISKCON founder. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, later summarized the divine passing of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He said, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came into this world to execute the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he executed it. And when it was required, he left this place and went to another place to do the same business. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Now you have to be very busy and start activity.